In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 NBA games happening on March 19, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Houston Rockets versus Orlando Magic. The Rockets are heading to Orlando to face the Magic in a clash between two teams with postseason aspirations. Houston has been gaining momentum at just the right time, making a strong push for the second seed in the highly competitive Western Conference. Their recent performances have shown they're serious about securing a top spot. Meanwhile, the Magic, despite a solid start to the season, have struggled with injuries and now find themselves at 32-37. Even with their ups and downs, they're still hanging on to the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference, trying to stay in the playoff race as the regular season winds down. Both teams are dealing with injury concerns heading into this matchup. The Rockets will once again be without Reed Shepherd and Amen Thompson, two key players who remain sidelined. On the other side, Orlando is keeping an eye on Cole Anthony's status as he remains questionable leading up to tip-off. While Houston has been the more consistent team recently, Orlando showed a new level of intensity in their thrilling upset win over the Cavaliers in their last game. That kind of performance suggests they're not going to back down easily. The last time these two teams met, it was Houston's defense that made the difference, holding the Magic to just 84 points in a dominant 97-84 victory. Given that result, it's safe to assume the Magic have been looking forward to this rematch, eager to turn the tables on their home court. I think this time, they do just that. In what should be a close contest, I expect Orlando to edge out a win in front of their home crowd. As our first pick for this matchup, the Orlando Magic to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. When it comes to defense, the Rockets are one of the top teams in the league, consistently making life difficult for their opponents. This game is also likely to be played at a slow pace, as both teams rank in the lower half of the NBA in tempo, with Orlando sitting near the bottom in terms of pace. Additionally, the Magic excel in key defensive areas, leading the league in opponent offensive rebound rate and blocks per game. Given these factors, this matchup is shaping up to be a half-court battle where both defenses take center stage, limiting scoring opportunities. Expect a grinded-out kind of game with neither team running up the score. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Dallas Mavericks versus Indiana Pacers. There are now fewer than 4 weeks remaining in the NBA regular season, and teams are making their final push to secure the best possible playoff position. Every game matters at this stage, with squads either fighting to climb the standings or desperately trying to hold on to their current spot. The Dallas Mavericks currently hold a 33-36 record, which puts them in the final play-in position. However, their journey to this point has been anything but smooth. Injuries have been a major issue for them over the last few months, and things haven't gotten any better. In their most recent game, they barely had enough healthy players to take the floor, suiting up just 8 guys. On the other side, the Indiana Pacers are sitting at 39-29, currently holding the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference. They've been trending in the right direction, winning 3 of their last 4 games and building momentum as they look to solidify their playoff spot. The injury reports for both teams will play a big role in this matchup. The Mavericks are still without several key contributors, including Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and Caleb Martin. Meanwhile, the Pacers have their own concerns, as Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, and Jarace Walker are all listed as questionable. Whether or not those players suit up could have a significant impact on the outcome of this game. Right now, it's just hard to feel good about backing the Mavericks. They are dealing with so many injuries that they can barely field a competitive team. Their last game was a rough one, as they got handled by a struggling 76ers squad. Meanwhile, the Pacers have been rolling and should be feeling confident after their dramatic dramatic overtime win against the Timberwolves, a victory that ended Minnesota's 8-game winning streak. The Pacers might be dealing with some injuries, but the Mavericks' situation is far worse. Their depth has been tested to its limit, and the results haven't been good. Dallas has lost 8 of its last 10 games and failed to cover the spread in 9 of them. At this point, it's impossible to bet on them with any confidence given the state of their roster. Indiana has been solid at home this season, boasting a 20-9 record in their own building. If they want home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs, these are the types of games they absolutely need to win. Of course, it's worth checking the status of Halliburton and Siakam before making any bets. Even with some uncertainty on the Pacers' side, betting on the Mavericks right now just isn't a smart move. As our first pick for this matchup, the Indiana Pacers to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Mavericks' defense has been a disaster lately, and opposing teams have been taking full advantage. Over their last 5 games, Dallas has surrendered an average of 128 points per contest. That stretch includes giving up 129 points to the lowly Spurs and allowing 130 points in their most recent loss. They simply aren't getting enough stops, and their injury-depleted lineup isn't helping matters. Indiana, on the other hand, plays an up-tempo style, ranking 8th in the NBA in pace. They've been scoring at a high clip as well, putting up an average of 116.8 points per game in their last 5 home contests. When these two teams met earlier in the season, the Pacers exploded for 134 points, and the total easily went over the projected number by 25 points. That trend has continued, as the over has hit in each of the Mavericks' last 5 games. Looking at the numbers for the season, the over has been a solid play for both teams. When the Pacers have taken the court this year, the over has cashed 35 times while staying under 30 times, with 2 pushes. At home, they have a 16-14 record toward the over. Additionally, when they've had 1 day of rest before a game, the over is 22-19-1. Meanwhile, the Mavericks have also leaned toward high-scoring games, with the over hitting in 36 of their 69 games. On the road, it's been an even stronger trend, as they've gone over the total in 22 of 32 away games. With both teams looking to solidify their place in the playoff race, expect a fast-paced, high-scoring game where defense takes a backseat to offense. This one should see plenty of points from start to finish. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Detroit Pistons versus Miami Heat. The Miami Heat are set to take on the Detroit Pistons in an Eastern Conference clash this Wednesday night. With the regular season winding down, every game carries extra weight, and this matchup is no exception. The Pistons have had the upper hand in their previous meetings with Miami, holding a 2-1 lead in straight-up results while covering the spread in all 3 contests. Their most recent 2 victories came at home, where they edged out the Heat in a pair of nail-biters, 123-121 in regulation and 125-124 in an overtime thriller. As both teams prepare for another showdown, the Pistons are expected to roll out the same lineup that secured their most recent win on Monday. On the other hand, Miami remains uncertain about the availability of key players Andrew Wiggins and Alec Burks, both of whom are listed as questionable. Despite the uncertainty in Miami's lineup, one thing is clear: the Pistons entered this game as the favorites, and rightfully so. They are coming off a dominant performance against the New Orleans Pelicans and have built solid momentum. Meanwhile, the Heat continue their downward spiral, having suffered yet another lopsided defeat in their last game. Ever since the drama surrounding Jimmy Butler began, Miami has looked like a team without direction, struggling to find any rhythm on the court. I've been saying for a while now that Miami looks like a squad that has mentally checked out of the season, and their recent performances only reinforce that sentiment. They've now lost 8 games in a row, and what's even more alarming is how often they squander big leads. Nearly every night, the Heat manage to build a double-digit advantage only to let it slip away, and it's happening so frequently that it almost seems intentional. The inconsistency is baffling. There's simply no cohesion on either end of the floor, and they look completely outmatched for extended stretches of games. No team that genuinely wants to win collapses as often as Miami does. Meanwhile, Detroit still has something to play for, as they could climb as high as the 4th or 5th seed in the Eastern Conference with a strong finish to the season. Their road record has been solid, boasting 20 victories away from home, so playing at Casey Center isn't likely to faze them. Given Miami's ongoing struggles, I have no interest in betting on them in this matchup. As our first pick for this matchup, the Detroit Pistons to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. When it comes to the total, the line might seem a bit low at first glance, but given Miami's offensive struggles lately, it actually makes sense. The Heat's scoring output has been atrocious in March. They rank dead last in offensive rating and haven't even managed to crack the 96-point mark in any of their last 3 outings. Detroit, on the other hand, has been locking teams down on the defensive end and currently holds the league's top defensive rating this month. However, it's not as if the Pistons' offense has been lighting it up either, sitting at 18th in the league, while Miami ranks 17th in defensive efficiency. While this game does feature 2 young, talented scorers, the defensive play of both squads has been the defining factor in their matchups. The under has hit in each of their last 5 meetings in Miami, which only reinforces the likelihood of a lower scoring affair. For Detroit, the under has cashed in 6 of their last 10 games overall, and they've held opponents to 105 points or fewer in 5 of their last 6 road games. Meanwhile, Miami has also leaned toward the under, with 7 of their last 10 contests staying below the total. In fact, they have failed to surpass the 110-point mark in 9 of those 10 games. Given how poorly Miami has been scoring and how well Detroit has been defending, this one has all the makings of a sluggish, low-scoring battle. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. New Orleans Pelicans versus Minnesota Timberwolves. The New Orleans Pelicans, currently sitting at 18-51 for the season, are set to face off against the Minnesota Timberwolves, who hold a much stronger record of 40-30. This Western Conference showdown will be an opportunity for the Timberwolves to continue their impressive run, while the Pelicans desperately search for any signs of life in a season that has spiraled downward. The last time these two teams met was back in January, when Minnesota managed to secure a solid 7-point victory on the road. The Pelicans come into this matchup after suffering an absolute thrashing at home against the Detroit Pistons, where they lost by a staggering 127-81 margin despite being just 6.5-point underdogs. Meanwhile, the Timberwolves are also coming off a loss, but theirs was much closer, a tough 132-130 defeat against Indiana, a game where they had been favored by 10.5 points. While both teams took losses in their previous outings, the nature of those defeats was very different, and that could play a role in how they approach this game. In terms of injuries and availability, the Pelicans are once again without Brandon Boston and Trey Murphy, which only adds to their growing list of roster challenges. On the other side, the Timberwolves are at full strength, giving them a significant advantage. New Orleans has been struggling to find any momentum, and after taking such a humiliating blowout loss against Detroit, their confidence has to be at an all-time low. In contrast, Minnesota had been on an impressive 8-game win streak before suffering that heartbreaking last-second loss to the Pacers. Given their recent form, the Timberwolves are still in a great position, whereas the Pelicans are fighting just to keep things from falling apart completely. Things have only gotten worse for the Pelicans in terms of roster stability. Their latest blow came with another major loss to their rotation, making an already difficult situation even tougher. Earlier this season, they decided to part ways with Brandon Ingram, shifting their focus toward building around Zion Williamson and Trey Murphy while keeping C.J. McCollum as a veteran presence in the backcourt. That plan has taken a massive hit now that Murphy has been ruled out for the rest of the season. This comes after they already lost to John Murray and Herb Jones for the year. At this point, New Orleans simply does not have the perimeter depth to keep replacing key players. The Timberwolves, who are fully healthy, will likely take full advantage of this depleted Pelicans squad. Minnesota has been dominant in recent games, covering spreads of 13.5 against the Jazz and 11 against the Spurs. They have won 8 of their last 9 games, and with the way things are trending, there's little reason to believe the Pelicans can put up much of a fight. The odds makers had no choice but to make Minnesota a heavy favorite here, and given their current form and health, they should have no trouble covering against a team in complete disarray. As our first pick for this matchup, the Minnesota Timberwolves to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. For the Pelicans, the hits just keep coming. Now, they are forced to figure out yet another way to rework their roster on the fly. This will be their first game without Murphy, and finding a replacement for a 6'8" athletic sharpshooter is no easy task. The problem is that New Orleans simply does not have a wing player with the right combination of size and shooting ability to take over that role. As a result, their lineup is now an awkward mix of Zion Williamson and Missy playing inside, neither of whom can shoot from deep, while C.J. McCollum operates as the main perimeter option despite his struggles near the rim. This lack of offensive balance is going to hurt them, especially in their first game without Murphy. Recent trends also suggest that New Orleans' offense is likely to struggle. They have gone under the total in each of their last 3 games, and there's no reason to expect that to change in this one. Meanwhile, Minnesota has been a defensive powerhouse all season. Rudy Gobert is in contention for Defensive Player of the Year, especially now that Victor Wembanyama is sidelined, and the Timberwolves as a whole rank 3rd in the league in defensive efficiency. Given the Pelicans' weakened roster and Minnesota's ability to lock teams down, This is shaping up to be a low-scoring game, as our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total, is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.